As promised, it is time for predictions for the African Cup of Nations. And today it's all about the group stage for the 24 teams that we will see here in just a little over a week's time. Guys, Matty G back here with you on Football with Flags. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's get to it. Let's get things started in Group A with Ivory Coast, the host, of course, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. Ivory Coast come in. Of course, they were the hosts back in 1984. Nicolas Pepe had 2 goals in their 2021 appearance, and they have made the knockout stages in 7 of the last 8 AFCONs. For Nigeria, their last AFCON title was in 2013. They finished first, second, or third in this competition 13 different times, and they had 6 goal scorers in their 2021 campaign. For Equatorial Guinea, a young side, but they can be dangerous. This is just their 4th AFCON appearance, and for Guinea-Bissau, they've never reached the knockout stages. Certainly hoping to do that this time around, and unfortunately for them, they have not scored a goal in this tournament since 2017. Guys, as you can see there on the right-hand side, 2 automatic qualifiers for the round of 16, of course, a potential third-place side, as we'll see from 4 different groups, and then obviously a team down at the bottom who will finish last, and we'll start with this group. Guys, I like Nigeria to take the top spot with 5 points. I think Musa and Iheanacho Chukwueze Osimhen could be very important. They had a couple of draws in World Cup qualifying earlier this year, but I still think that this side, while they've been a little up and down, could have a really good group stage, especially if Ivory Coast kind of start off a little sluggish. Ivory Coast had a solid draw against Morocco in a friendly earlier this year, but they did draw against South Africa. Not 100% sure what that lineup looked like, but again, still a bit disappointing. I think the expectations will be high for Ivory Coast, obviously being the host with an opportunity to maybe go very deep in this competition. I'm not necessarily sure that they'll be sluggish, but I think this group could be very, very competitive, and that's why I have them finishing second with 5 points as Nigeria gets the nod just based off goal differential. For Equatorial Guinea, though, a solid start to World Cup qualifying, but it wasn't convincing. They had 2 1-0 victories. I like them to take 3 points out of this group with a shot at maybe getting into the round of 16. We'll have to wait and see. And for Guinea-Bissau, down at the bottom, just a single point out of this group stage. Now on to Group B with Egypt, Ghana, Cape Verde, and Mozambique. Of course, Egypt with the most AFCON titles of any country at 7. The last title for Ghana was back in 1982. Keep in mind, Cape Verde had a round of 16 run in 2021. They were the top 3rd place team to qualify for the knockout stages. And for Mozambique, their last appearance was in 2010. They have still yet to win a game in this competition, still looking for their first 3 points. We'll get back to Egypt, who I do think will top this group at 7 points. Keep an eye out for Salah and Trezeguet. I think if this combo is in good form and going into this tournament, could really be dangerous for this side, hopefully scoring a lot of goals along with some other pieces that could be very dangerous for them as well. I like them at the top with 7 points. For Ghana, even though you can see there on the screen talking about needing better defending, they really struggled in some friendlies against Mexico and the United States. They lost one of their World Cup qualifiers earlier to Comoros. This side let up 5 goals in AFCON in 2021. They didn't make it out of the group, and then they conceded 7 in the World Cup back in 2022. This side, again, can score goals. We know what Ayew can do. We know what Partey can do and some others, but I need to see more out of the midfield and some of their attacking options for them to be very dangerous, and they've got to keep less goals on the board in terms of letting balls in the back of the net. I still like them to finish second in this group. And then for Cape Verde, again, Vozinha, their goalkeeper, I think is somebody to keep an eye out for this side. They've had some up and down results in 2023, but Ryan Mendes, a guy for them, has 15 goals, one of their forwards. Keep an eye out for that name. He could be very important. I think 4 points for them will be enough to solidify a spot in the knockout stages as another 3rd place team, but we'll have to wait and see. And for Mozambique, unfortunately, I just don't know if I see enough out of this side to get their first victory. They've got a healthy amount of goals spread across some of their forwards on this roster, but again, this is a pretty tough group, and I think it's going to be difficult for them to find any points. As for Group C, we've got Senegal, Cameroon, Guinea, and the Gambia, and we'll start with the defending champs, Senegal. Big question is, can they go back-to-back? We'll have to wait and see. For Cameroon, their last title was in 2017. Aboubakar was the top scorer in the 2021 tournament. For Guinea, they did have a round of 16 appearance in the last 2 competitions. We'll have to wait and see if they can get back to that this time around. And for the Gambia, their first appearance was in 2021. They made a run all the way to the quarterfinals, and they did defeat Guinea on their way there, beating them in the first round of the knockout stages. Guys, I do like this group. I think it's very competitive across the board. I think you could consider it potentially be the group of death out of all of the 6 groups that we'll see in this competition, but I think it's going to be very tight at the top. Cameroon did lose to Senegal in a friendly back in September. They didn't have any clean sheets, Cameroon, in their 2021 appearance in this tournament. I definitely would like to see them be able to cut that down, especially knowing how well Abubakar did in the last tournament. Some others, maybe they'll still get a lot of goals out of them. I think it's going to be a tight race at the top, but I do like Senegal to win this group with 5 points based off of goal differential. I've got Cameroon finishing second. I think, again, with Mane being healthy, a lot of familiar faces on the Senegal side. This is going to be a tough group to top, but I think Senegal will get the job done with Cameroon just in behind them as those two advance to the knockout stages. As for that third place spot, I think, again, it's really tough, but I am going to go with Gambia. I think they'll get 3 points, just enough to get out. They didn't have a lot of games in 2023, which could pose an issue. They did lose twice in the World Cup qualifiers earlier this year, so really not coming in all that great in terms of maybe just confidence and mentally feeling like they're in a good place. But Cisse, Barrow, Jallo, some of their forwards, keep an eye out for those names. They could be pivotal in how well this team can possibly do. And for Guinea, again, I think a group that very well could make the knockout stages. It's very difficult, for my opinion, to pick this group. I think Guinea could still somehow get in there, but they did lose to Botswana in a World Cup qualifier. We'll see how much Naby Keita can be and impose his will against their opponents, and keep an eye out as well for Kamano and some other forwards. Maybe they can get the job done to get these guys through to the knockout stages. But for our predictions, I do have Senegal and Cameroon through, with the Gambia possibly getting in as a third place team. Now on to the second half of these groups, and we're on to Group D with Algeria, Burkina Faso, Mauritania, and Angola. We'll start with Algeria, who did exit the group stage in 2021. A very, very disappointing run for them, considering they were the defending champs back in 2019. So obviously looking to try and come back with a much better run this time around. For Burkina Faso, they've never won this tournament. They made it to the semifinals in 2021, and they were finalists in 2013. They've been a side that have been there, and who knows, maybe if they do have a shot at making another deep run this time around, we'll have to wait and see. For Mauritania, this is their third straight appearance. Obviously, still seeking, though, their first victory in this competition. And again, another tough group to do it, but maybe they are able to finally get those first 3 points. As for Angola, 2 quarterfinal appearances in 2008 and 2010. Big questions surrounding maybe their goalkeeper, and also we'll have to see about the presence with Dala. But we'll get back to Algeria, who I do have topping this group at 7 points. A side that did not lose a single game in 2023. Obviously, Mahrez, Slimani, some others, very important to this side. I think they could continue to be very dangerous for this team and hopefully have a much better group stage. Obviously trying to come back after that, especially missing the World Cup too in a playoff last year as well. I think they are itching at an opportunity to go deep in a major competition like this and really show again just how talented they are, despite the slip-ups that they've had recently. Not a lot of caps for their goalkeepers, but still I don't think that will be as much of an issue as maybe what it looks like on paper. For Burkina Faso, I do have them finishing second with 5 points. Keep an eye out for Bertrand Traore, Yago, Dajo, some of their defenders. A lot of caps, but they've got some goals under their defenders' caps as well, so keep that in mind. They have had some up and down results, but I do feel confident that Burkina Faso can do enough in this group to advance. And as for that third place spot, I'm going to go with Angola. They've had more draws than anything in terms of their results in 2023. That might be helpful, especially if they can at least get a draw out of those first couple of games, or at least that first game, to make sure that they stay alive and they don't put themselves, pin themselves back in a difficult spot as the group stage goes on. But I do only have them with 2 points, which I don't think will be enough to get out as a third place team. We'll have to wait and see. And then for Mauritania, just 1 point down at the bottom. Group E will see Tunisia, Mali, South Africa, and Namibia all square off against one another. Tunisia were the 2004 champions of this tournament. Question, though, remains is can they make it past the quarterfinal, position where they have gotten stuck at several times in recent memory. For Mali, they've had 6 top 4 finishes in the competition. I think a side that is also very dangerous and could potentially make a deep run. For South Africa, a side that won this tournament back in 1996. They did not qualify, though, in 2021. How will they respond? I think that's a big key to talking about this group. And for Namibia, this is their 4th appearance in the tournament, but they are still seeking their first victory and, of course, their first appearance in the knockout stages. We'll start with Tunisia, who, again, another big question surrounding this team is just scoring goals. Where are they going to find goals from? Who's going to put it in the back of the net for them? And can they do it consistently? Msakni, their captain, has got 22 for his side. This group has a lot of solid depth, in my opinion. But again, we'll have to wait and see just how well they can put the ball in the back of the net. I think they can defend tremendously well, but how dangerous can they be in the final third? I do, though, have them finishing second in this group with just 5 points, still obviously securing a spot in the round of 16. But I'm actually going to go with Mali to win this group at 7 points. Musa Doumbia could be important for them. He's got 6 goals for his country. I think this side has a really good midfield, a very strong group of midfield players that could be very beneficial for this side, not only in possession and attacking, but defending with numbers as well. As for South Africa, Piercy Teau, I believe I'm saying that right, 14 goals for his country. They've got a lot of inexperience, though, in the midfield, in my opinion. And to be honest, I think possession could be a key factor for this team, how well they keep the ball, be able to create opportunities. Will they have a lot of turnovers, and can they get countered and exploited on those turnovers? I think that could be a very big talking point for this team. I've only got them, though, with 2 points in this group, which very well could maybe put them out of making another run or getting back to the knockout stages. So we'll have to wait and see. But for Namibia, unfortunately, I don't have them getting their first victory in this tournament. But keep in mind, they did draw against South Africa back in September in a friendly. Maybe they're able to get another point out of that, or maybe steal a point from the other 2 sides. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But I've got them finishing 4th. Last but not least, of course, Group F, and we'll start with Morocco, a heavy favorite, but they have not reached the final since 2004. Can they make it back? For DR Congo, they finished 3rd in 2015. They're usually a side that can make it to the knockout stages. We'll have to see if they're able to do so or not. For Zambia, they were the 2012 champs of this tournament, but this is their first appearance back since 2015. They had some really good sides back in the day, but it's been a decent little run here without them. We'll have to see how they fare. And for Tanzania, 2 prior AFCON appearances. But we'll cut straight to it. I do have Morocco winning this group with 9 points. I think they'll take care of their business with Ziyech and Nasiri. Amrabat, maybe he'll get his first goal for this country. And obviously, can't forget about Hakimi, Bono, and others on this side. A very, very talented and deep roster that has a great shot at making a long run in this tournament. But for Congo DR, we'll have to wait and see. Bakambu, I think, is going to be a big name to remember for this side. They don't have a ton of defenders with caps, but I think they'll be okay in the back. A big question for me, though, is the fact that only out of their 3 goalkeepers on the roster, just 13 caps between them. I think that position may still be up for grabs. We'll have to see who gets the nod, and maybe if there are any goalkeeper changes, depending on how well they do to start the group stage. We'll have to wait for that to unfold. But I do have them with 4 points, finishing 3rd. I think Zambia will take the 2nd place spot based off of goal differential, with both sides finishing with 4 points in the group. Zambia had some odd defeats in 2023, just some very strange results in my opinion. I think they do have some goalkeeper questions as well. There's not a ton of goals across this entire roster from this team, but I still think they're a very talented group, and I think a side that could potentially be dangerous in the knockout stages. So I do have them finishing 2nd in the table based off that goal differential, with Congo, of course, in 3rd, and then Tanzania down at the bottom. But keep an eye out for Msuva and Samata, 2 forwards for that side that I think, depending on how their form is and how much they're able to contribute, will depend on how many points potentially this team could get. And there it is, guys, the 16 teams based off of our predictions that we have going to the round of 16. Obviously, I think it's a very tight field with a lot of good competition across the board. It's going to be very difficult to predict these right or even get all of 16 of these correct. But based off of what we've put together, we feel like these are the best ones to move forward in this competition. Well, guys, as always, thanks again so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And please let us know down in the comments as well your own predictions for this group stage, any opinions you've got on it, who you're rooting for, all kinds of stuff like that. We've got plenty more coming your way, including knockout predictions for this tournament as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And guys, again, thank you again so much for your support. As always, it means the world. And again, I hope you all have a blessed day, and we will see you soon. Peace.